And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, from the Phoenix Convention Center here in Phoenix, Arizona. This is the men's freestyle finals of the Sunkist Kids International Open. Along with U.S. National Teams Director Mitch Hall, I'm Jason Bryant. We've got 7 finals today in men's freestyle in the Olympic weights. We go 7, and we start off right off the bat, Mitch, with a little Florida flavor and a little bit of Bedlam mixed in as well, as Sam Hayeswinkle and Obi Blanc will take to the mat at 55 kilos. Hayeswinkle from Pensacola, Florida, wrestled for the Sooners Jack Spates at Oklahoma, while Obi Blanc, All-American at Lock Haven, finished his career at Oklahoma State for John Smith. He'll be wearing the blue. And what do you expect out of this one, Mitch?
Well, this is going to be interesting because you've got Sam Hayeswinkle, of course, who's spent, as most everybody knows, spent most of his international style career doing Greco-Roman. In fact, up to this past year, that's what he has exclusively been doing, but now he's taken a stab into the freestyle, making a great commitment into there against Obi Blanc, who you mentioned a bit of the Bedlam series, but having transferred in there, neither of these guys have wrestled each other in that series.
Well, before we get started, they are announcing information about the passing of the late Charlie Tribble, who wrestled here at Arizona State. And they're listing off some of the accomplishments, and they're going to have a moment of silence prior to starting here. So if we can listen in to Shane Sparks, our tournament announcer, as he announced some information about the late Charles Tribble.
Let's observe a moment of silence for Mr. Charlie Tribble. Thank you.
And with that, we'll kick this thing up. As you said, Mitch, neither of these guys had wrestled each other in the Bedlam series, and I believe the age difference is wide enough to where they wouldn't wrestle each other in high school. Obi, originally out of Naples, Florida, NHSCA Senior National Champion back at 112, was All-American at Lock Haven under Coach Rocky Bonomo before finishing up his final year of eligibility in Stillwater. Was not an All-American this year, so kind of disappointing, but did make the finals of the U.S. National Open. And Hayeswinkle, coming over from Greco, had been on the Greco ladder, had won the senior nationals in Greco, and never became an NCAA national champion. Went 3-3-3-2. Kind of a heartbreaking type of situation for Hayeswinkle, who's just been always on the edge.
Yeah, certainly it may be heartbreaking for Sam, but an unbelievable career anyway. 4-time All-American is something that's very, very difficult to and here Obi Blanc's in on that single. Sam comes out with basically almost try to reverse him. Obi kicks out, and there should be no points, and I don't believe any points were scored.
No points were scored with Obi Blanc. He is in the blue singlet. Sam Hayeswinkle in the red. Again, Hayeswinkle got here with a solid outcome. He won 2 matches in 2 periods before dropping the first period to Mark McKnight of the Wildcat Wrestling Club, and then won the last 2 periods convincingly, 4-0 and 6-0. So wrestling a freestyle specialist, Obi Blanc, who's very good on his feet. 110 remaining here in the first period in our first final of 7 at 55 kilos. We're going to wrestle 3 2-minute periods, or best of 3.
Certainly what you're seeing here is what Sam Hayeswinkle is so good at doing. From his Greco training, he is excellent in ties. He's going to try to control a pace, control a tie position. Obi's going to have to clear that and be able to get his leg attack. Certainly you would expect Obi to be better at a leg attack than Sam after what Sam's been really concentrating on with the Greco-Roman for the past several years. But Sam also scored on some good attacks here at this tournament.
You see, he tries to pass him by there, snapping the head. Kind of controlling Blanc's hands as far as keeping the 2-on-1 tie. Now Obi gets to the leg, and Hayeswinkle comes back up with that over tie.
Yeah, down to about 20 seconds left here.
So we're going to stop it, and we're going to figure out what the stoppage is for. I guess maybe headbutt or whatnot. Jamil Kelly and Sammy Henson in the corner for each wrestler respectively, and that's pretty solid coaching right there.
It certainly is, and we're down to about 15 seconds here. Sam again going to that tie.
Almost kind of looked like he tried to snake the ankle there going underneath. Didn't look like his arms were outreached far enough. Blanc trying to counter the front headlock, a snap and spin on the edge, 3, 2, and 1. So we're going to go to the bag. And the ball draw. Let's see what we come up with, red or blue.
Yeah, we haven't had that many of those in this tournament.
Not very
We've had
many,
a lot
no.
of good scoring thing, and it comes up blue, so Obi will get the single leg advantage.
Looks like he's going to point to the right leg. Not something in the clinch situation Hayeswinkle's necessarily used to, at least at this international style, since the rule changes. Because he wrestled with the old rules back in the 04 Olympic trials in Greco.
Now, he's supposed to put the hands on the back, but you don't really want to give somebody a very good start on this, or it's going to be he's going to score. They're going to warn Obi to take that lock, which he needed to. He had the opportunity there. He needs to grab it and go. And he does get the single.
Snaps the leg.
Nothing yet, but he's got a great advantage. This is going to be tough for Sam to fight off.
He does scoop the
so
far
far
ankle.
He does, but there he gets the point. It's been confirmed that will be the period to Sam Hayes, to Obi Blanc.
Obi Blanc with a 1-0 first period victory, and we'll have 2 more minutes of action here. So overall, Mitch, as far as the Sunkist tournament goes, competition, and we've had the grappling, we've had the gi grappling, we've also had the women's freestyle and Greco that finished up tomorrow. Well, how has Sunkist done with putting this thing on this year? It's
been a great tournament here this year. We've had some excellent competition. This venue is outstanding. Everything's right here. Everybody's enjoyed it. The tournament's been run well, and again, we've got some great matchups. We've had some, and we've got some great finals today too.
Good final right here. Again, we got a little bit of a Florida flavor and some Bedlam mixed in.
And here now, Sam's going to have to take the offense because Obi won the first period. Sam cannot afford to go to a clinch in his second period. Obi's got kind of like a period to play with here, which you certainly, if you get an opening, you're going to go after it. Obi taking a sweep single, has got the legs locked, or the hands locked around the legs. Sam was able to break that wrist. And now we'll see what happens. I believe he ran him off for a point, and he did.
Runs him off with a push out off the single leg, very similar to what the Uzbek did to Jake Herbert at the World Championship. Snapped the single and just kind of pushed him out of bounds on it. Actually was the winning point of that particular period back in Herning, Denmark, just over a month ago. 1:20 remaining, second period. Obi Blanc has won the first period and has a 1-0 advantage here in the second. Men's freestyle at 55 kilos here at the Sunkist Kids International Open from Phoenix. There, nice! Ooh, it looked like he just could not finish it. Obi just a little too slick.
Yeah, really what happened was Sam went around to the ankle, but didn't have any pressure into him. So when he went around to get the ankle, all Obi had to do was walk away, and that's basically what he did. Here now, the nice shrug here. Sam's very, very good at that. Scored a lot of points here. Now, if he gets the point, if they confirm it, which I believe
they have confirmed.
They did. Yep, the judge did confirm it. So it's now 1-1. Sam Hayeswinkle is ahead by virtue of scoring second.
Scoring the last point. As a way with the FILA rule changes, has eliminated any such real overtime to speak of other than the clinch. So we're not going to see any epic battles like the one we saw in Greco in 04 with Dennis Hall and Brandon Paulson. They're going to make them 6 minutes, no more. Maybe 30 seconds depending on the clinches.
And here we go. It's 1-1 with Hayeswinkle ahead. Just over 20 seconds left here, 25 seconds. And we'll see. I know Sam's going to stay in good position, see if he can keep Obi off of his legs to go to a third period.
How important is controlling the center of the mat now, obviously, with the mat area shortened, with a push-out being a score instead of having to be able to drive out of bounds.
Yeah, you have to stay in the center. And what I really liked about Sam there in that, did you see how low he got his hand down there, and he's going to make Obi go through the first line of defense, that being his hands, before anything happens, and he wasn't able to. Score 1-1. Hayeswinkle wins the second period. We'll go into a third period to determine this match.
Hayeswinkle coming in was a 2005 and 2007 U.S. national champion in Greco, was the World University champion in Greco, and has been wrestling Greco-Roman ever since he was a tyke. His father, Dave, and Uncle Jim both competed on the Olympic teams for the United States in 68 and 72, while Obi Blanc, third in the U.S. World Team Trials, was second at Nationals. Took an Olympic red shirt after becoming an All-American at Lock Haven. Couldn't quite make the team. Was on the ladder, didn't make the team, but now we're back to action here. Final 2 minutes in the third period. Both of these guys Florida State champs.
And again, you watch how Sam controls the center of the mat. His back's to the middle all the time, which gives him an advantage to take Obi off the mat if he can get him out of position. He will go to the ties. Obi wants to have it a lot loose. You can see he likes to have it a little bit looser. Not that he's away from him, but he doesn't want to get locked in tight. Sam will try to take anything he can get, pull it in tight to control the position, use his shrug, use his 2-on-1 ties. Right now we're down to just about a minute and 20. No score this period.
Well, what about the size difference between the two, Mitch? Looks like Sam is the bigger of the two wrestlers in terms of
now here we are. We're near the edge of the mat. If he gets him to step out, and he was close, that will be a point. just a push there. Now he went down,
Well,
but he was up when that started. They did. The referee says a point. It has been confirmed.
Yeah, he stepped out before he dropped to his knees. If they're both in their knees in that situation, no point would have been awarded, depending on the official's discretion here.
Yeah, in most cases, if there's action going on and you're down on your knees, down on the mat, if it happens before you're just about to go out of bounds, then they won't award a point. They'll let you keep wrestling there. But in this case, he was right at the edge, and he actually dropped to try to avoid the point instead of being down there for scoring purpose.
The importance of mat awareness. With 40 seconds remaining here in the third period at 121 pounds, 21 and a quarter pounds, 55 kilos.
And that's what certainly would happen. We were talking about Sam's back to the middle. Obi is not going to be able to take him out of bounds from that position unless he changes it. Now Sam's, Obi did, he changed around, but in this front headlock position, it's very hard to drive a person out. I think Obi's going to look for a stalemate, so he gets one more chance. 20 seconds to go. He's got one more chance to go and score.
Hazewinkel quickly back to the center, almost, fixing his stance, kind of down blocking already with that, before any
contact. Look at how low his hands are to keep him from getting a clean shot.
10 seconds now, and doesn't take long for Obi to score. He is that quick.
And we're down to 5 seconds. Unless he gets through, he did get through, but can he keep him off, get him off the mat? He was not able to. Sam did a great job turning to the center, no points. Sam wins that third period 1-0 and wins the match 2 periods to 1.
So a 0-1, 1-1, 1-0 victory for Sam Hazewinkel, and that's going to give him the championship at the 2009 Sunkist Kids International, making a nice strong return to freestyle with a championship here at Sunkist to start the next cycle.
Yes, Sam, this was really his first international freestyle tournament. He did a great job. Certainly, I think he'll look to try to get a few more of those in here this fall with the Hargabin in Canada, the NYAC. Got some opportunities here before the end of the year.
Another Big 12 battle coming to the mat here at 60 kilos. In the red of the Gator Wrestling Club, it'll be Coleman Scott taking on the Sunkist Kids, Nate Gallick in the blue. So a little Oklahoma State, Iowa State action going on. Gallick from Arizona originally. Younger brother Nick there wrestling for the Cyclones and new coach Kevin Jackson.
Yeah, Nate lost most of last year with an injury, was not able to compete, to put himself in the ladder. He's been in the hunt for our team. He's really an outstanding wrestler. So is Coleman Scott, who wrestled, again, almost the opposite of Nate, wrestled a lot of matches this past year to get himself ready. And I think we're going to have a great matchup in this one.
Rusty Davidson, your official out of New Mexico, one of the top international officials here in the United States, is ref out of countless junior nationals and U.S. nationals. Mitch, how many times have you seen him at tournaments over the years?
About as much as anybody else that I know of. He'll go internationally. He went over to the Junior Worlds this past year. He actually stayed around then, did the Veterans World Championships for us. So very experienced referee. And here we go. Well, this is kind of a difference in style matchup. Coleman will try to hit you quick from the outside. Actually, Nate will too, but neither one of these guys give up points easily. If somebody gets in, they will fight hard to keep the point from being allowed and to look for actually to counter offense to score. So we'll see who's willing to make the first commitment. And Coleman goes in on a great double leg shot. Takes down Nate for a point as they go out of bounds. He's got the lead with about 1 minute and 30 seconds remaining in the period. Coleman's up 1-0, and we've got a injury time here right now.
Scott was a 4-time All-American, never redshirted at Oklahoma State, was a 2008 NCAA champion, while Gallick, a 3-time All-American, a 2006 NCAA champion. Gallick winning at 141 pounds, while Scott winning it at 133. Gallick coming down in weight from his competitive college weight. In the corner with him, Kevin Jackson and Chris Bono. Bono and Gallick were both Bono was the head coach, Gallick the assistant the previous season at the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga. So both making a return to Ames, Iowa. 1-0 lead for Scott. Now trying in on that double again. Waynesburg, Pennsylvania native. And one thing, Mitch, about Coleman Scott, he's never out of a match. If it's close, he likes to score points in short time and has done it throughout his career.
Yeah, and certainly did it here, as we were talking earlier in the semifinals, but that it does not take him a lot of time to score points, and he did it in different ways too. But What you will see here is Coleman is very offensive, more than Gallick is. So we'll get into certain situations. Here's where you don't want to be with Nate Gallick, though, in that front headlock.
Now you see the front headlock tilt.
We'll see. One said we got 3, and it was confirmed by the mat chairman. So the judge did not award it, but the mat chairman did also give him 3 for that exposure. I believe it's the right call here.
Feet to back danger, essentially, since they were in a neutral position, and Gallick exposed Coleman Scott's back. And we're going to challenge here. So Jamil Kelly throws in the challenge brick. Nice addition, by the way, at least for these USA events. They've made bricks out of the challenge things rather than the swimming noodle. So
yeah, well,
I had a chance to throw the noodle at the World Team Trials, and it really doesn't have very good flight time, I assure you.
Well, that styrofoam brick actually it can cover a lot of ground if you do throw it hard enough.
It becomes a projectile, yeah. I mean, Chris Moen has actually been bopped around in the head a couple times by the staff.
But what you do have here is that the International Federation has allowed a challenge. If you believe that score has been incorrect, you have the opportunity to throw that in. Now, if they do look at it and the score does not change, you are actually, in a way, I guess, because you could say you're penalized a point. They'll put the score up, and then they'll award another point for probably any term of an improper challenge. But it really is a great addition. I have seen a few scores overturned today.
Yeah, but overturned was a word not really used much in Herning, Denmark. It seems there was say if there were 30 video reviews, I think we only saw 2 overturned. Well, I think the first of which was when Farouk Sahin in his match.
I saw a handful of them in Herning, Denmark, overturned, but in most cases they're not overturned. That they did get the score correct. But this is one that it's worth the challenge. If given up, he's down 3-1. It's almost impossible to win the period. If you can get that changed to maybe be a 1-1 score. Now it only takes a takedown to win. You're not going to. Very few people win the period with 20 seconds left and down 3-1.
Well, the one thing here too is the challenge. If you lose it, that's it. You're done. So if this thing goes to third period or second or third period and it's tight, sometimes you might want that challenge back. You might have to just kind of take it if you know it's close and you don't know if you're going to get it. Just kind of you got to hold on to it. So there's also some strategy involved in it from the coaching angle.
Yeah, certainly, and if you're down 3 or 4-1 and you have a call that you want to dispute, it's not worth it, because even if you win it, you're still down 3 or 4-1 and you don't have a lot of time. So it is strategically done. Normally, it's done near the end of a period, like this case where, if you don't get it, you're probably not going to win. If you do get it, you got a chance.
So we're still waiting on the video review here. Matt Valeni and Derek Moore wrestling for third place at the weight. There was a video review over there as well. Matches going all over the place. Lehigh Valley Athletic Club represented here pretty good out of Lehigh University.
They've done a great. They've put a club together and had a lot of individuals here at the Sunkist tournament, which is great. It's we'd like to see a lot of the universities pick up the clubs. Iowa State's well represented here. Penn State's got a group. Of course, with the Gator, we've already seen Oklahoma State, and Iowa State here represented. In the four basically the finals, the 4 guys are from those 3 schools. Now they did confirm the 3 points. I did think that was the correct call, but it certainly was worth the challenge this late in the period. So now with the additional point, it's 4-1. I think you're going to see Coleman, keep a little pressure on, but not take anything risky or put a lot of effort into this. When all Nate's got to do is turn and bail out. Even if he took him down and turned him, he'd lose 4-4. And we're down to about 12, 15 seconds left. As you can see, Coleman's not sprinting here, basically conceding this period and going to try to get him in the next 2 periods.
Well, again, Scott, very dangerous and kind of a tough cut for him to get down to 60 kilos. I saw him in the hotel prior to competition, and Death Warmed Over might be an interesting, maybe an interesting comparison or comparison. He's a big individual for this weight, and so is Gallick. It's tough, but
a lot of our guys have done a much better job of making this a longer-term commitment to get their weight down to size. Danny Felix is a great example, who actually probably put a whole year or better into changing his nutrition, basically changing his body. Trent Paulson to go down to 66, basically the same thing. You got to change your body makeup, and that's through really your exercise and nutrition in combination. You can't do it separately.
Wait to see what's going on here with the mat again. Todd Benneely wrestling for third place on the mat adjacent at 66 kilo. Coming up next, we'll see Jared Frayer and Tion Ware. A couple of Oklahoma Sooners going to be wrestling against each other. Now, one thing about Frayer, and you were mentioning about nutrition, now Frayer's actually got his weight down in October. Traditionally, he'd start up a weight and work down through the year. He's already down at fighting weight, so to speak.
Yeah, and he spent one of the reasons. He spent a lot of time in the training camp this summer. Went to the World Championships, so he was training through this time, which made it a lot easier for him to keep his weight down. We were still trying to get the video set. Now they do have it ready to go, so they can cover it, and we'll be continuing on this second period. Minute and 50 remaining. Just 10 seconds have gone by, and there's no score.
Scott in the red, Gallick in the blue. Gallick's younger brother Nick also competing in the tournament. Scott with the red and green singlet of the Gator Wrestling Club, or as Jim Ravenak might say, Gator.
Yes, he would. And this typical, Coleman does a nice job in his stance of usually keeping his head. It's almost like if he gets down there, it's almost like the Iranian stance where they're so bent over, it's hard to get through. And he's got a strong enough back to do that. Gallick is also, pretty low for their length. They do stay pretty low.
1 minute remaining here in the second period. A 1-0 lead for Nate Gallick of the Sunkist Kids in the blue over the Gator Wrestling Club's Coleman Scott.
Coleman there goes for a head outside single leg. Now Gallick's got back, and we're close to that front headlock position again that Gallick is so good in. Coleman Scott's trying to control that elbow, keep it away, and a nice ankle pick across. They have not scored it yet.
White paddle, it has been confirmed. Yep, now confirmed. It's confirmed. So either way, he went back down to the knees. And the subtle differences there. And in collegiate, that's a takedown before his knee even hits. The 4 supporting points done.
Yeah, we're now down to 25 seconds remaining. Gallick is ahead 1-0. Coleman Scott does need to score here. And if he does, 1-1, he will win this period.
Well, another thing that's important for these athletes to win these events, this isn't just for wrestling for just for the kicks. There's prize money attached to this.
Yeah, there certainly is here, but the reality is most of the biggest reason for this tournament, though, is to get a lot of guys some good matches in early in this season. And that's why the Sunkist has served our efforts so well over the years. And here we go. Scott not able to get in. Gallick does win this period 1-0 and the match 2 periods to none.
So a 4-1, 1-0 victory in a championship at the Sunkist International Open at 60 kilos goes the way of the Sunkist Kids, Nate Gallick. So far, 2 matches. We've gone 3 periods in 1. We've had a Sooner and a Cyclone. Now it's going to be a Sooner one way or the other.
Well, that depends upon how you look at it.
Well, right now, Frayer now coaching at the University of Wisconsin, Mitch, a school you know fairly well, and Tion Ware now wrestling and training in State College, Pennsylvania, for those of you that might not know where State College is.
But of course, like, as you said, both of them Sooner graduates, had great, really solid, great college careers, and continuing on internationally. And you're going to see certainly a different style here. Though neither are that offensive, Ware can hit you with an explosive shot. If you do not finish right away against Jared Frayer, he will score. He's got great counter. I would even call it counter offense, because I don't want to even call it defense, because when he locks in, he's not looking to stalemate. He is looking to score.
Well, we saw that against Will Rowe earlier in the tournament, where Rowe was in on a nice single, and Frayer just used his veteran and his caginess to, whip Rowe right over for 2 on the exposure.
He's got, in those positions, you lose track. He's got great flexibility, great balance, And it's hard, when you're on your butt to talk about balance is kind of awkward, but you really, with that flexibility as you come up, there's no way you get around behind him.
Ware was an NCAA champion as a freshman and a junior, while Freyer was an NCAA runner-up. Won the Schultz back in 2003, and it's just been on the ladder, pecking second at the World Team Trials. He was second at the U.S. Nationals. He's been second, third, fourth pretty much throughout his international career here in the United States, while Ware actually switching back to freestyle from Greco. He's gone back and forth, trying to find a style and a weight that suits him. Ware in the blue, Freyer in the red.
Here we go, Freyer trying to pull him into that front headlock, again, where he is also very dangerous at. And it's obviously Ware knowing that and got very short arm, trying to make his head small, and was able to circle and pull out of there. Now we've got the whizzer on here. Will they give it a point? Normally they don't, except that he did whizzer him to that position and took him out instead of that being the normal flow of action. So that's why the point went up. It is 1-0 Jared Freyer with 30 seconds remaining in this first period.
Here at 66 kilos. To get here throughout the course of the tournament, Freyer was a top seed, knocked off Wes Fimbres of Sunkist, then beat Joe Johnston in an early round match before dispensing with Vicente Varela of the Sunkist kids, and then beating Will Rowe, another Oklahoma Sooner, in the semifinals, while Tion Ware.
That's a nice single there by Freyer just to keep him off. We're running out of time in this period. It put him in great position to where Ware's really not going to be able to attack. And the period does end right here with Freyer winning it 1-0.
Tion Ware, as we were about to get to, beat David Hargy in the quarterfinals before beating Corey Jansen by injury default. That match was actually in the third period, and Jansen looked like he tweaked his ankle or his knee, so that put Ware into the finals. Interesting note about Jansen, before he wrestled Ware, he pinned the South African Olympian Heinrich Barnes, an All-American this past season at Oregon State, a two-time World Team member and an Olympian. So Barnes actually one of those guys in the United States that provides a lot of interesting matchups because he's freestyle heavy. I mean, he wrestled freestyle in South Africa before coming over here, learning American folk style. And I talked to him before the match, and he actually has a better chance to train freestyle over here in the United States than he would back in South Africa. But that's his first style. So when our college kids come out and wrestle, they might be surprised. They go, who's this kid? So Barnes is a guy I'd like to see. He's a guy that when Freyer and Ware and these guys wrestle him, it is a real matchup problem. No score here. 20 seconds gone by in the second period. Jared Freyer in the red, Tion Ware in the blue. We're at 66 kilos.
And Ware is going to have to open up a little bit more here. You're not going to win a defensive battle against Jared Freyer. I don't even want to go to a clinch. Even if I win the ball pull, he's going to be a tough guy to finish on. Ware really is having a hard time finding a position to be in to try to score. Again, look at the experience. Jared Freyer back to the middle. You remember he whizzered and took Tion out the last time. We were still getting closer to the edge of the mat, and yet, again, Freyer's back is to the middle where he's not going to be in trouble. Ware has got to look out. Nice job circling him around. Now can he take advantage of it? He does not. We're back free. We've got less than a minute left. No score in this period.
So one thing that also makes Jared Freyer so good is he's a very good situational wrestler. He likes to drill those situations and put himself into scenarios that you might not typically see, but know them just in case you get there. And, of course, the leg clinch, something that's come into the United States training regimen fairly heavily since they've changed the rules recently. Well, as recently as 2 years ago.
There we go. Tion in close, but he did not finish. Now you're in trouble with Jared Freyer. And there you go. Takes him over for two. Ware didn't even get a chance to get around. Freyer will stay low now. He'll stay wide and low. Nice job lifting him up, but look at how Jared Freyer has been there himself. He knows how to counter it, lifted his arm up to block it as high as he could. He's letting Ware go around behind. He does get the point, but we're down to 7 seconds to go. 2-1. This one's going to Jared Freyer.
Well, you almost spoke a moment too soon there.
That was close. Okay, you're right. I was
Ware with the ankle lace nearly got him turned over, so a 1-0, 2-1 victory for Jared Freyer. Another Florida guy. Clearwater Countryside. So we've had 3 Florida guys in the finals here so far. Florida natives.
It would be nice if we get a college down there with as solid as Florida is and has been for about probably about a decade now that they've had some great wrestlers coming out of the state of Florida.
Well, Mitch, you know, going to have to thank you for sitting in. We got Kendall Cross going to come in and take your duties over here for the last couple. He's right behind you for a couple matches. So that's National Teams Director Mitch Hull joining us on the broadcast. So thank you very much for the insight there, Mitch. We'll see you down the line.
Nervous. Was it easy?
Yes, it's easy. Got another highly recognized athlete joining us now on the broadcast for a little bit of a color commentary as we go to 74 kilos, and John Reeder. He'll be in the red representing the Sunkist kids, and Mike Poeta of the Lehigh Valley Athletic Club, a recent graduate of the University of Illinois. Coming to the mat, Poeta will be in the blue, John Reeder in the red. And we're joined by two-time Olympian and 1996 Olympic champion Kendall Cross. So giving you a shot at the broadcasting career.
You bet. Always enjoyable to come up here and chat with the big fans of USA Wrestling.
So 30 seconds gone by, no score. To get here, John Reeder picked up a quick 17-second fall over Beksad Abdurrahmanov of Colby, while Mike Poeta beat Kyle DeBerry, who had upset Terry Madden in the early rounds. So a very wide open but balanced weight class. John Reeder, an All-American at Iowa State.
Yeah, it looks like this Abdurrahmanov, the guy that Reeder had in the semis, obviously not an American, representing Colby, and he was a pretty tough opponent right there. You know, just jumped out and pinned him right off the bat.
Yeah, his brother Muzaffar was an All-American at American University, now a coach at Harvard with Coach Jay Weiss, a guy you know pretty well as well.
Yeah, exactly. I spent a few years out there in Harvard land.
Harvard.
Yep.
Now in on the single. It's going to be a one-point takedown for Mike Poeta, a guy that's going to come in the lore, as we mentioned in the semifinal broadcast, as one of the greatest American college wrestlers that never won a national title. And his style, how do you think his style works for freestyle? Because he's kind of a freewheeler, wide open kind of guy.
Yeah, you know what? Sometimes it works. You know, in freestyle, one thing I really like about freestyle is that, you know, a lot of different styles can win. It doesn't just have to be that straight-on, straightforward, aggressive style. But the rules play in hugely. You know, it's just if you know the rules and if you're playing the rules, I think strategy and technique really is important right now, much more so than longevity and endurance.
Well, as far as styles go, you wrestled a very unique style when it comes to the freestyle. With, you know, Gumby was the name you were thrown to in college. But you know, would your style work well with the current set of rules?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's very enticing, you know, these rules, just because, again, like I said, it's not really a shape-based anymore. If you can, you know, with the periods as short as they are, they're 2 minutes long, if you can hit one good move and you have a turn, if you score points in bunches, you're going to win periods.
Well, speaking of scoring points with one good move, it was the one takedown there in the first period for Mike Poeta, and quickly, without any stoppages, Mike Poeta wins the first period over John Reeder 1-0. Both these guys All-Americans last season. Reeder still got 2 more years left at Iowa State with new coach Kevin Jackson and Chris Bono in the corner with him. Teammate Jerome Ward on the camera. Jason Kutz in the corner for the.
Yeah. What else I like about these rules is that say you do, you know, you get down in the first period, you lose your first period. They clean the slate, and you get another chance. It's like it keeps your hope. You know, there's an upside to it if you want to look at it that way. It's, if you get hitting big points early, you're down 4-0, 5-0. Okay, they clean the slate, you know, a second period, and it's kind of nice to. It just continues your hope.
Versus getting locked up in an ankle lace and having the match over with a 10-point tech fall in about 30 seconds.
Right, and the rest of the match you're having to fight to get those points back. So it's an interesting set of rules.
Reeder tried to roll through with a front headlock. Poeta caught him and stopped him for 2. He's not going to get the full count. Got a trapped arm gut locked up right now. We haven't seen too many of those throughout the course of the tournament. I guess that's not you don't see too many good wrestlers getting caught with a trap arm at this level.
You know, you hardly see any of these guys chasing down a trap arm gut. You see people ending up in them off a scramble, just like you saw a while ago. That was off of the scramble, ended up in the trap arm. Trap arms are incredibly effective because you can turn and hold.
And that hold counts as a point, and you can just roll right through. Basically a change in scoring, and then you can go right back to the same move.
Right, so we got a 2-point score here. There's less than 15 seconds left. The period's pretty much, for all practical purposes, it's over. So, you know, scoring points in bunches, again, it's going to win periods because it's too hard to come back.
Reeder's going to get 1 point awarded for. I guess he had control enough to maybe a takedown. It's on the edge.
Yeah, it's questionable.
That's where it's you calling it a takedown, you calling it a push out. Regardless, it's a point.
They took
looked
it
like
back.
it was white paddled. So
Yeah,
we
they
saw
took
white
it
paddle
back.
from the judge. Kind of hard to see the chairman over here. So I guess not. It's not going to be. It wasn't a takedown because there was no control. It wasn't a push out since they were both on their knees. The scoring points in bunches. Of course, a 2-point move for Reeder would actually get him the tie and the lead.
Right.
A 3-pointer would obviously give him the lead, but the way that the points are scored and the rules have changed now, how would you basically work with the rules in terms of scoring? Would that be in your favor? Like you said, you score points in bunches.
If you score points in bunches, say it's a 2-pointer instead of two 1-pointers, his opponent's got to score 3 takedowns to beat him. If he just ties him up, the other guy still wins with the 2-point move. And so that's why I say if you score points in bunches, if you can get turns, if you can put guys to their back in these periods, you're going to win the period. It's really hard to come back.
And Kevin Jackson barking for a point over here again. Both wrestlers were down on the legs. It looks like Poeta was down on his knees on the edge, and that's one where I think they could have given the push-out point to Reeder.
Yeah.
But again, it's up to just determining what the official seems is control, was it forced, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
15 seconds to go. Mike Poeta with a 2-0 lead in the period. He won the first period over John Reeder, Davison, Michigan, at Wrestling Fact. Now there's a 1-point push out for Reeder. Of course, at this point now you can't challenge any previous score.
Right.
Because it's last action's the only thing you can challenge. So 2-1 will be the period. So Mike Poeta will take the championship at 163 at 74 kilos. So
Poeta looked good. He looked good the whole tournament.
So let's see how he can handle a weight, because he wrestled 57, might be moving up a little bit as opposed to a lot of guys moving down. Because, another thing, Kendall, we've seen it with you personally, the way the weights have changed too. They've kind of taken a lot of athletes out of the situation. It's a tough cut for you to get down to 32 and a half, and then the guys at 66 are just a little too big at some point.
Yeah, you're exactly right. At 132 pounds, I'd have a chance. I could wrestle with any of those guys in the country. But when 145 pounds, I can't beat the backwash. It's just really different size. The body is, completely different size. It's man and boy.
Yeah. Lincoln McElravy's weight no longer exists. Daniel Legali is a guy that was just tremendous at that weight, and then suffered with the cut, trying to figure out which way to go.
Yeah. Another one that comes to mind is a guy named Alan Freed. One of the best one-time national champions ever, and he just always fell in between 136 and 149, and just could never put it together because of size.
Match of real interest here. These two guys know each other very well from the college ranks. It's Ben Askren, the 2008 Olympian in the red, taking on Chris Pendleton of the Gator Wrestling Club in the blue. Pendleton handed Askren 2 losses in consecutive years at the NCAA championships. Matter of fact, the only opponent Askren has ever lost to at the NCAA championships was Pendleton, a 4-time finalist, 2-time champion. Pendleton beat him in the finals both years. And I'm not going to say are you playing favorites here, but being a Cowboy, where do you think this match is going to lie?
You know what? I tell you what. I like Askren's style. I really do. And again, just because of his ability to get guys to their backs.
Wouldn't have anything to do with this funk thing.
Yeah, we tend to stick together.
What would people be calling Askren's funk, kind of like Kendall Cross funk, if the internet had existed during your day?
I think he's got his own thing. I really do. He's a very unique wrestler. I've watched him just because I've heard a lot about him and kind of intrigued by that kind of style of wrestling. And he's got his own funk. It's not anything that he picked up from me. Which is usually
more
how
with
funk
the cradles
happens.
and then putting you on your back, and you were more of a step over type of guy, right?
Yeah. Reach back, step over, all those rules.
All the stuff you're not supposed to teach.
All the stuff you're not
kids.
supposed to do.
Here, reach back. No, actually, yeah, I'm going to.
Exactly.
Take him for a ride.
Fortunately, I had a coach when I was really young that had told me, hey, look, Kendall, if you do it and it scores, it's right. Whether it's right or wrong is whether it scores or not. And so I kind of took that to heart and maybe took it a little too far. But I've always lived by it.
One thing we haven't seen in terms of scoring is any in this match with 20 seconds to go in the first period. And now Pendleton with a single and a lace. Is he going to get the takedown? He gets 2 1s. So in that situation, why wouldn't they have awarded the takedown, or he went to lace? That's what Pendleton's asking right now.
Did they not get a takedown? It should be three, like a takedown and 2 laces.
Well, they only gave him 2 laces, but if he goes right from a neutral to a lace, that should be at least.
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Well, time winding down, and Chris Pendleton Askren with a throw by there at the end, almost meaningless, and it's going to be a 2-1 period victory for Chris Pendleton. Now, Askren is up a weight from his Olympic weight. These two guys wrestled each other at 174 pounds. And, of course, Askren, one of the most prolific pinners in NCAA wrestling history. His senior year, he was just mowing through people with, I believe at one point he had 19 straight falls, 18 were in the first period.
Wow. He's a pinner. I'll tell you what, at this level, though, it's wrestling the college level, it's a little different. This level, everybody's a national champ. Everybody's good. And so it's kind of hard to even get a dude on his back,
Yeah, and if you compare the credentials, at least in freestyle between the two, Askren, an Olympian, won the U.S. Nationals, New York AC champ. Pendleton's been solid on the freestyle circuit, winning Sunkist here in 2006.
Right.
But was third in the 05 World Team Trials. Other than that, really doesn't have too many shots at trying to make a U.S. World or Olympic team.
This weight, I would consider it wide open. I don't know if Askren's going to go back down or not.
Got Jake Herbert there too, the reigning silver medalist.
Yeah.
But this bracket, by the way, Kendall, you've had some good guys here. Ben Askren beat Keith Gavin in the semis. Down low, you had Raymond Jordan from here in Sunkist, now with Arizona State. Chris Pendleton, Tom Meester's had some big wins in his career. Travis Pascoe wrestled well overseas. So this is the deeper of the weight, probably the deepest weight, and I think whoever wins this match, pretty much going to be the OW.
I think so too.
Depending on how you want to figure out which clubs are wrestling for who.
Yeah. But, Dave Bertolino, he's in there. He's tough, too. He ran into Gavin. Gavin I've been really impressed with. Tell you what, Gavin is hard-nosed wrestler. I was really impressed with his earlier matches.
Askren now trying to almost a wheelbarrow. Finally gets the 1-point takedown. Pendleton might have had to been careful. Some officials might have called that fleeing the hold, not fleeing the mat, essentially.
Right.
That's what got Muhammad Lawal against Sajid Sajidov back at I believe it was the 2005 World Championships.
Well, here with this situation, you got 1-0. There's 40 seconds left. Pendleton's not in a bad position here because it's almost like being ahead by 1 with that kind of time left. You don't want to take chances, but at the same time, you got to wrestle because if the dude takes you down, you lose. So it's kind of interesting for Pendleton here. If he gets a takedown, he wins this period.
And the match, as the the blue and the green for the Gator Wrestling Club.
He needs to get something going though.
25 to go. Chris Pendleton trailing Ben Askren. 1-0 in this period. Now, low ankle attempt, kind of misses on that. Askren now.
Askren coming back a little offensive offense.
Pendleton in a good position here. Can't quite finish it off if you're going to get the push out on the edge. So what's going to happen? They call nothing. 1 point for Pendleton. 1 point red. Now what do we got? 1 point blue. So Askren just kind of slaps his hand,
So this match
makes
is
a
over.
smile.
Right there.
3, 2, and 1. So Chris Pendleton going to knock off Ben Askren. And while it's a different style of wrestling, it's 7 or 8 times in his career that Pendleton has knocked off Askren, whether it be freestyle or folk style.
I would tell you that's an interesting stat. I wouldn't guess for it, but if it happened, it happened.
I believe Ben was 1-6 against, 1-5
right?
against Pendleton in college. Of course, this is not Askren's weight class. That's the only thing that can
that's another point.
Point.
But it wasn't like Pendleton hammered him with his size. He took him down and laced him. Good freestyle technique there. Yeah, he did well. So.
Well, now we're going to go to 96 kilos. A couple guys, and this is probably the weakest weight of the bunch. Is no names stand out here. Is Arturo Basulto. The only thing we can tell you really about him is he was 7th at the U.S. Nationals in 2006 and wrestled for Cal Poly. We've got no information on Glendale, Arizona's Brian Cobain, representing the Mercenaries. So this was a round robin. This was the only round robin of it. And Basulto unbeaten in the pool. He wins this match. He is in the blue.
Okay.
While Cobain in the red.
Well, I gotta admit, I haven't seen any of these guys wrestle in this tournament yet either.
Oh no, we haven't as well because we've been. The depth of this year's Sunkist in terms of freestyle. What do you think in terms of this tournament getting back on the map? It had a little lull there. We didn't have it last year. Now we're back.
Well, just given that it wasn't here last year, it kind of takes people away, take their eyes off of it. And so it's going to take a little bit to get it back. I tell you what, I remember when this tournament had, several foreign teams. We used to always have the Belarusians come, and sometimes the Russians with Koreans, Japanese. It used to be pretty prolific. And, hopefully it gets back there. I'm sure it will. In time, it'll get back there if they continue to sponsor it.
Well, with the 3 major international tournaments we have in the U.S., of course, the Sunkist Invitational, the NYAC, which will go on in November, and then the Dave Schultz. I personally, would you like to see a few more international tournaments, come to the United States and maybe see the world champions come in and say, all right, we're going to wrestle these Americans on their turf, see what happens.
Yeah, it would be nice. I was just talking to a couple of people earlier today about seeing more of these foreigners here on our soil. We don't do that very often. We always spend a lot of time going overseas on our tours and wrestling them over there, and we very seldom see their best ones come over here.
Well, one thing I know, I think a lot of the American wrestlers have said when they do go overseas, they really enjoy the fans that are over there. Of course, in Denmark, the Finns, the Danes, they were all great. The Norwegians were good, and of course, the Iranians and the Turks.
Yeah, well, a lot of our best guys, they're as far as celebrity status goes, if you want to call that, quote unquote, we're much more well known in the farther parts, eastern parts of Europe than we are right here in the United States.
1-0 lead for Basulto. 30 seconds to go here in the first period at 96 kilos. Could be an easy grand for somebody today. 96.
Yeah, exactly.
15 seconds counting down.
Is that what they're getting for?
I believe it's in that. I know
for...
there's prize money involved, and I know that's one thing. As an athlete, what's it like as far as wrestling in these tournaments where there are prize money? There seems to be that more of an emphasis on that now to kind of help continue the training.
I tell you what, I never really thought about the prize money. And even winning an Olympic medal, it wasn't the motivator. I don't know. I don't really know what to think about it. It's changing a little bit. There's a little more prize money than there has been back when I was wrestling. But I tell you what, this sport is so brutal that I'm just not sure if anybody be doing it just for the money. I think it's too hard.
Well, that's kind of the joke we say here in the media too. Nobody gets into covering wrestling for the money. Wrestlers obviously don't do it for the money.
Yeah, it's that's why it makes it so pure, because we're out here because we want to.
Yeah. What is our reward we get for the junior level and such? We get to spend 8 days in Fargo, North Dakota.
Yeah, exactly.
For I say this 8 days a year, that is the best town in the world.
Yeah, they love us, don't they? Fargo, North Dakota loves USA Wrestling. Come to that city, liven it up, give it a heartbeat.
Take it over, play some foosball. Oh, wait, I went there, Ken.
Yeah.
So back to the second period. Basulto wrestled heavyweight in college, won a junior national title up at heavyweight. Made the cut down to 97 for John Azevedo at Cal Poly for a while. Never placed at the NCAA championships. Out of the Meathead Wrestling Club. Meathead Wrestling Club. Somewhat fitting for wrestlers.
Stereotypical.
Oh, wow. Nice counter to a bad shot for Basulto, getting the point. Just kind of stepped around the single and says, I'm going to take you now. Pretty quick for a guy that size.
Yeah, he did move pretty well. So now it's 1-0. Again, I'll be curious to see how this turns out, because a lead with a lot of time left is, it's almost a curse. It's been a curse for several of these guys today. Getting a 1-0 lead, and the next takedown wins. Of course, if it's by the guy with 0. Or even worse, if Red gets a push out here. If he gets a push out, he doesn't even have to take the guy down, but still wins the period. That's just...
Well, Cobain is actually not in a situation to win this thing. He lost actually his early match, but not reporting. Did win another match. He's got a loss. So Basulto in this 4-man round robin is the only one undefeated. Has the lead. Has a period lead. So he's probably favored coming in based on statistics alone. But back to talk about the international thing with the Sunkist. And one thing, I don't know if you had a chance to check it out yesterday, was the Canadian women that came down. And when they come down to the tournaments in the U.S. and they do pretty well, they enjoy coming down here internationally. So, I mean, other than, guys like Igali, you come across any Canadians in your career that gave you fits?
Actually, yeah. I wrestled one of the finals of the Olympics. And, in fact, prior to
that was a loaded question, Ken.
That was a
loaded question.
I wasn't sure if you actually – okay, yeah.
Caught you off guard.
But what's happening with this Canadian team is a lot of them, they're not necessarily Canadian by birthright. They go and pick up citizenship. I guess their citizenship policies are a little less stringent than they are here in the United States. And a lot of those guys are coming from other countries and picking up those spots on their teams.
Well, that's going to be Arturo Basulto, a 1-0 victory. Well, because Igali, I believe, is a native Nigerian.
Right.
But as far as the entire Canadian, so every now and then you'll have a Canadian just come on the scene. It's just, where'd this guy come from?
Yeah, I don't know if you remember a guy named Chris Wilson.
Rings a bell.
Yeah, gave Fadsayev a fit. I guess it was during the 92 to 96 quadrennium. Chris Wilson was at 149s. And he always used to be one of the guys from Canada that surprised everybody. And had beaten Arsen Fadsayev, one of the greatest wrestlers in Olympic wrestling history. And always gave him fits.
Well, this will be our last match of the tournament, Kendall, and it's been a good one so far. I'd like to thank Mitch Hull for coming on with us earlier, and of course you sitting in and giving us that freestyle expertise and that little bit of star power we need on the broadcast.
Is that what it is?
I don't think it's my name that's drawing anybody here. We had Henry Cejudo on, we had Zeke Jones on, we had in the grappling we had Brian Peterson on. So it's been
right.
I've been given some help here by the staff of USA Wrestling, but now we're going Blake Gillis. He'll be in the red, and Aaron Ansbaugh of the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club in the blue, a Division I runner-up for Penn State. He's in the blue, while Blake Gillis beat Les Sigmund in the opening round in the quarterfinals. He was a 3-time Division III runner-up before winning Division IIIs in 2007 for Jim Miller and Wartburg.
Yeah, 4-time finalist, huh?
4-time finalist in Division III. Second, first. Finally got that monkey off the back. But solid win over Sigmund. Zeke Jones was saying he had come out to the training center and worked with Tervel Delagnev. Nice low single attempt for Gillis. Again, a Division III guy. Ansbaugh out of Columbia, Pennsylvania. Moves pretty good for his size. Also been fighting MMA in his spare time, so to speak.
Yep.
Out of Lionheart.
So he's wrestling for Cale Sanderson at Penn State, is that correct?
Nah, he's done with his eligibility. He's just training up there.
Okay.
Finished up in 2007, lost to Cole Conrad in the finals. Giving up a lot of weight.
Yeah.
Cole was one of the bigger heavyweights you'll find. Now Ansbaugh challenges that single and actually comes back around and does work through and get the takedown. So a 1-0 lead for Aaron Ansbaugh.
Not too often that you see a low-level single in the heavyweight division.
Or a low-level single that doesn't score when it's brought in so good. Tervel's a guy that likes that low-level single.
Yeah, Tervel wrestles like a little guy.
And, Blake Gillis and Tervel wrestled each other in the All-Star Classic down in Dallas as the exhibition match. Yeah. We've mentioned that a couple times when it was your Bode Ogunwol was in the main event, and then they had the D2 and D3 guys, and I'm sitting there going, that might actually be the main event, not Spencer Nadolski and Bode, but another guy from Harvard.
Bode Ogunwol. Yeah, he was a surprise, kind of a sleeper of sorts, come out of nowhere.
Another low single, trying to step through.
Looks like he's been there before. 10 seconds to go. See if he can score.
Scrambling. Now doubling off. Can he finish? He does. He finishes. Does Blake Gillis and gets the takedown with 2 seconds to go, and that's going to win him the period 1-1. So for a heavyweight match, not your typical push-shove.
No, not at all. Not at all. It's kind of good to see. If you do find a big guy like that can shoot low-level single and actually finish, it's going to be effective because they're often not fighting in that position. They're not familiar with it. So if you get a guy that can, like Tervel, can drop down in there and catch a low single, bring his head up correctly, they're going to score a lot of points.
How about the instruction that Blake Gillis is getting out there in the corner from one Lubu, Randy Lewis?
Yeah, Randy Lewis. I talked to him about his comeback not too long ago. He said he almost had to be airlifted out of there.
Yeah, we had him on the show
when
we were with Kyle Klingman and I were doing Wrestling 411.
Yeah.
We had Lewis on the show. I actually got the video of him. And his first opponent was a guy from Augsburg, a Division III wrestler. So
how'd he look? How did Randy Lewis look?
Randy's a friend of mine, so I'm gonna. He wasn't a 32-pounder anymore. Let's just
go diplomatic about it.
Another low single attempt by Gillis, and kind of working up Ansbaugh, locking around the chest, and he kind of has to bail out and give it up. Blake Gillis, how about this?
Yeah.
He's making a strong case for
Taking
OW.
Shots. He's had 3 leg shots.
He's knocked off Les Sigmund and David Zabriskie to get here. Just to the finals. So, you want to talk about performance alone. I think Chris Pendleton might be the favorite for the OW.
Yeah, due to the strength of
a couple
bracket.
Of good wins and a strength of the bracket. But, hey, Blake Gillis hadn't exactly beaten chop liver either. Snap and spin counter for Ansbaugh gives him a 1-point takedown. So 1-1, but he's effectively in the lead with the last point scored here with a minute to go in the second period. Coming up on 4 o'clock here in the Pacific time zone. First time I've been to the state of Arizona. It's been very, very, very warm.
Yeah, it's kind of nice, especially coming from Oklahoma where I've been up in Norman. It's starting to get a little chilly there.
I live in Minneapolis.
Nice that's
Crimea River.
How can I complain? Yeah, how can I complain? I'm sorry.
But when you're from the beach, it's...
Yeah, you know what? I've been in Minnesota during the wintertime after tournaments, and I tell you what, sometimes I wonder why people live up there.
I sometimes wonder that myself. Back to action, 33 seconds to go. So Gillis really needs to score, push out, or takedown here, but he's been really successful with his low singles. See if Anspaugh's going to try to block and keep him from getting to the legs again. Coach is turning in their outstanding wrestler ballots right now.
Back on the not so much low level.
But Anspaugh just so heavy on his hips,
Yeah.
now sliding through. Now Gillis
He's
is
gonna
very
come up,
long at the
gonna
leverage,
come
going
up.
to try to lift the big man.
Push
Got
him
the
up,
leg,
push him up,
5.
push him up.
Oh, and Anspaugh throws him by on the edge, and he's going to get
We got a 1 point on the blue.
1 point. Anspaugh, so he whips him by.
Jeez.
You know, that was a great bit of mat awareness there on the edge, and Gillis just kind of smiling knows, I had it.
Yeah.
Literally 2 seconds away from winning the bout, now has to go to a third period. That's got to be depressing.
This is making it interesting.
Hey, nobody said these guys were boring.
No.
You hear Shane Sparks to us to the left. He's to the right. He's been doing the broadcast, the PA for the course of the tournament. Information. Check out Shane's stuff on BadgerStateWrestling.com. He does a good job. He does the play-by-play for the Badgers up there
Okay.
too.
All right.
The PA. So
Madison, Wisconsin.
yeah, I'll be down there probably November 13th as the Monarchs of Old Dominion will take on the Badgers.
Oh yeah.
That's
All
my
right.
alma mater. So
You went to Old Dominion.
yes, I did.
You're a Monarch.
Yes,
Is
I
that
am.
a butterfly?
No, it's not a butterfly. It's a lion. It's a king of the jungle, and don't you forget it. That's what Lee Pritt said first time he showed
Is that
up.
what he said? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it a butterfly? Yeah.
Actually, it is it's a rabbit. It's a predatory butterfly. Actually, this is not Animal
let's
Planet. Although
distinguish.
we've got two gorillas wrestling up here on the mat. Blake Gillis and Anspaugh. These guys that may not look that big as heavyweights. Anspaugh now with a driving double. Gillis tries to whizzer hard on the edge. Who's going to go out of bounds? And
Under the table.
it's going to be one red. So basically, the referee table just got wiped out.
Hey, they're keeping the time going there. They didn't stop that time. So it's one red with a lot of time.
Yeah, that should be
Yeah,
about 20 seconds clicked off. So you think about $1.35.
Yeah.
30. Well,
Where
okay,
they
it was
put that,
5 seconds
30?
off.
So that's a
I'm a
lot of time with a
butterfly.
1-0 lead.
All right, I might have beat you in foosball. That's your stinger back.
Yeah.
That was some time ago, by the way.
Foosball.
Yeah, we need a rubber match or a rematch. The Bison Turf.
Just so you know out there, we played each other in foosball in Fargo, North Dakota. I think it went my way, didn't it?
No, I don't think so. Then I beat Greg Jones in darts, but that's. I'll take those little victories over great wrestlers any day. That's the only victories I'll
That's
ever have
right.
over you guys.
The stories could get better as time goes on.
Oh,
right?
and they will. I'm only 30. 1 minute to go here in the third period. Blake Gillis with a 1-0 lead. Both these guys have been rather offensive. We've seen low singles. We've seen doubles in a slick heel pick.
So here we are.
Ooh. How
This could
about
win the
that?
period for him. There's less than a minute. They've both had takedowns. Just so happens that it was Blue's last. And Spaugh's takedown last.
Technically, how would you describe that heel pick there?
You know what?
Not something you see for a big
cut him with
guy.
a low head. You don't. I mean, it's surprising. Really, both these guys, they both have some little guy
Head and a heel.
ability.
Head and a heel, just pull him straight back. Gillis, 35 seconds to go. You saw him wearing a Central Missouri wrestling shirt beforehand. Maybe he's coaching down with Robin Ursuline down there. We'll have to verify
Is that where Robin Ursuline is?
Yes, he is. He'll be
Central Missouri?
He'll be at Minot State next year, starting that program.
He used to coach me when I was a kid. He's one of my favorite coaches when I was a little kid. Coached me on world teams.
Low single
Great
attempt.
guy. Hence that front headlock. Got 12 seconds, 11, 10. Gonna run out of time.
Well, 8 seconds, so we'll restart. Can Gillis score the takedown? Because his takedowns have involved some work. Now, Anspaugh circling.
Yeah, you're right. You're exactly right. They take time to open up.
Not like a snatch single and boom, you're done.
Right.
But how about that? Was a good match between these two guys. And Aaron Anspaugh is going to take a 3-period victory. Gillis was this close from taking it in the second period. Gave up the push out.
Yeah, right off the
there
edge.
on
He
the
was
edge.
heading off the edge. Didn't get the takedown.
So that's
Didn't get
going
the push out.
and that's going to wrap it up for us. So, Kendall, I'd like to thank you for coming on the broadcast again, lending your expertise,
Well,
and
hey, I appreciate-
always a pleasure getting able to just. I don't know if I can shoot the breeze, so to speak. Let's say that with you in terms of wrestling and overall thoughts on how the freestyle went today.
You know what? I thought it was great. I was I'm hoping that the foreigners getting more involved. I think we need some foreign teams here to really get our guys in a position to where they're feeling these guys that are we're going to hit in world competitions, and we really need that. We don't need to be wrestling each other so much in these international competitions. We need some foreigners here. I'd love to see some of these Far Eastern European countries come. Russians, Germans. It'd be great to have them.
Well, I'd like to see it as well, but at the same point, do you think they're going to give the Americans any advantage? Any advantage
Absolutely
when it comes to
not.
wrestling? So, well, that's something that remains to be seen. So for Mitch Hall, who was on the broadcast with us earlier, the entire staff of USA Wrestling, Kendall Cross, I am Jason Bryant. You've been watching and listening to the Sunkist Kids International Open from Phoenix, Arizona.